Hello guys! Next round of the Quick and Dirty happened sooner than I thought. And indeed it was a two-player game, which I'm going to share with you now. My opponent is Dantes, Dantes, it's Dantes, right? Okay, we call him Dantes. And I'm in the first position. In this situation, I decided to take EGA. Wasn't the easiest decision. I had some options here. I could take Aristotle instead of the EG. Taking EG means he can get the good wonder here, which is the pyramids in my book. Or actually, he could take Boudica, and that's something I only saw really after I took the EG and sent the turn away, locked it in. That if he takes Boudica, my start is a little awkward because I then would have to spend 2 civil actions for Hippocrates, who will then be here. And it's a very... I can't really do that. So I think it's a mistake, actually, to take this EG. Yeah, because he should take Boudica now. He will then get one of these 3 wonders still. Or one of those 2, right? Yeah, Colosseum will be gone, but it's probably the worst of these anyway. I will get the pyramids. But maybe even I shouldn't take the pyramids and take this Hippocrates. Or I have to hope that another leader will drop. Can quickly look. There's still... It's not the best options here to drop late. Sun Tzu and Ashoka. There's a Suez Canal, so Sun Tzu is actually not that bad in this game. And once we're here, Snow Marlene Dietrich, there is Hollywood, Red Cross, Ocean Liner, Suez Canal. Bach is more or less the only culture leader in H2, so it will be a lot about who gets him and maybe who sets up better for him. But if I look at this game, I even think it's a bit better of an opera game instead of a drama game, since there's no Dietrich. And there is Hollywood. The operas set a bit better up for the Hollywood. Then on the other hand, if you get Bach and build 3 operas, or even 3 dramas, the other guy has no culture leader. So he has to go military more or less. Or catch up later. Yeah. Let's see how this turns out. Yeah, games where there's only Bach and 2 player are a little awkward somehow. Yeah, but this starts, I think, looking closer, I should actually take Aristotle here over the EG, which gives Dantes also a good start. But now he has this play where he takes Boudica, and I think he's ahead. Let's see if he does that. You have to see that also. So he doesn't. He takes Aristotle and Urbangrove, which is also good for him, but I think here we are at a difference between like 3 player, 4 player and 2 player. You really have to look what you leave the opponent in every turn. I talked about it in when I was guest in one of Weidenbaum's videos. 2 player, it's really a good exercise to just look at both civilizations and ask yourself, which one would I rather be? And then it's 2 players all the time at this edge where it's a zero-sum game, and it's a lot about denials and making less optimal turns for yourself, which in overall in the zero-sum game are the optimal turns. And here I'm pretty certain, looking closer at it, taking Boudica is a lot better overall. It's not better than this for him, but overall it should be way better. Because, yeah, it leaves me... The Urbangrove is still there, right? Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hippocrates is here. Very awkward start for me. no leader, or spending 2 civil actions on him, taking pyramids, building this, not electing him. It's okay, but you lose some civil actions at the get-go. Can't populate. Don't elect him, which delays possibly swapping him out for another leader by even 1 turn. And here's a good leader nonetheless, right? Okay. That's the start. Let's see how it continues. I will go for the pyramids here. I prefer them over the Stonehenge. And I do take Boudica then to get this leader for 1. Can elect her. Can hopefully make good use of her. Dantes. It's Dantes. Dantes goes for Aristotle, goes for Stonehenge, builds the mine, populates. Very standard stuff. Yeah, I mean, you might consider taking the Colossus next turn and then something like building philosophy, taking Richland, taking Colossus next turn, because every game with Suez Canal is a really good Colossus game. And then there's Eleanor also, which synergizes very well with it. Would be an option, I would say. Would be an option. But this is also fine. I decide to take the Boudica rock and just finish the pyramids. I think it's better than building the lab. Sometimes I delay the lab to stay flexible for the possible printing press. There's no printing press here, and it's not a particularly good printing press game, even for 2-player. But I still think just finishing the wonder is better than the lab. And here my last civil action is populate cultural heritage. So I make up for the science somewhat if I get around to play it. But I have an extra civil action, so it should work out. Maybe one thing to discover, there was an iron on 3, and sometimes you want to do that. But I think in this game state, I didn't want to do that. I didn't have the population, right? Yeah, I couldn't populate last turn. So I didn't really have a turn if I take iron for 3. Iron for 3 populate, I don't even know if that would solve corruption. I'm not certain. And it wasn't possible here. Now he can get it for 2 if he wants to, and I think he should. Iron is the key tech, and it's definitely worth 2 civil actions in 2-player. Settlement is revealed, and he interestingly goes for cartography. Now takes knights, breakthrough. I mean, that's also... The breakthrough is a good card, but yeah, he leaves the iron on 1 civil action even for me, and develops the cartography. Now what does this do? Maybe he already saw 1 colony, or maybe even has 2 colonies, draw of 2 colonies. I would say if he doesn't at least see 1 colony, this is not a good play. It's a good cartography game with the Suez Canal in, but it's not reason enough, I think, to take and develop it so early. One reason he does that is that I can't use Boudica freely. I have to spend rocks on military, but it's not such a big issue. I can just do that. I'm also a bit lucky to have this fighting band, which synergizes well with having to build a warrior. And overall in 2-player, I love this tactic. I think it's the best tactic to draw in a 2-player game. Only when the game goes a little more military heavy than you want a medieval army, but in general you don't want to invest into knights, so you are, or in swordsmen also, you are very happy with this. And then it's 2 warriors. It's good for colonies also. You can bid 2 warriors on colonies. I love this tactic. Yeah, so he does this, and let's see if this will be a territory. If it's not, if there turns out to be no territories, and the thing is, I will never see territories from now on, right? I will just not do it. So he has to draw them. And maybe a cartography even for 1 territory. For 1 key territory it might be okay, but maybe a cartography even for 1 territory is a bit costly. And yeah, he has this extra benefit that it is annoying. It is annoying that I can't freely choose what to take now. If I could even go for the iron with the cultural heritage. Science, cultural heritage, iron, upgrade iron. Like this, not possible. So I do build the warrior, take the iron, populate, take drama, and cut theocracy and build the lab. And the theocracy is already a bit in mind, in the back of my head, with he has knights in hand. Or you could also choose to be very annoying even without those knights. By just building a warrior, I can't use Boudica again. I'm not certain if it's good, but it would be a little annoying. But if he does that, I can just revolution to theocracy and just build another warrior for free. I think I'm fine with that. The theocracy with the pyramids is also in 2-player game just a good government. The strength, the culture income over the course of the game, the happy phase, they are pretty good. Yeah, it doesn't give a civil action, which is a huge downside, but the pyramids make up for it. And then if you get code of laws or the justice system, you can play the game. And you can play it better than in 3-player, 4-player, where in H3 you really want a lot of civil actions to be very flexible, and 2-player is a bit different. You are in a lot of game states, you are set to play the game with 6 civil actions until the end. I mean, more are better, but not as good as in 4-player games, comparatively. So, and again, I take the drama. We saw being set up for Bach is very valuable here, and it's just for free here for 1 civil action. It's more or less free, right? So if I want to take the other cards, I can take another card anyway. I could think about taking EG for 2, but I think these cards are also good that I'm not willing to skip 2 of them for an EG for maybe a bit questionable benefits in the sense of when I can use it. It will happen at some point that I can choose to build an arguably good wonder here, but yeah, I prefer this start here with the theocracy. Probably theocracy revolution no matter what, honestly. A little unclear. I might also choose to start upgrading the iron, but it's a very likely theocracy revolution. Development of science is revealed. And then that is pretty good for Dantes, since he can already go for a knight. And then he builds 2 stages, has science for the knights, plays the breakthrough, builds a knight. Now, again, a bit rambly. This knight also is only good if he has a knight tactic already. If he doesn't, this knight, the only thing it does is that it forces me to take the stones for the rocks for the military. Can also be strength events already, but then he has to contest those strength events with, and it's unclear if he can do it without a tactic versus some theocracy warrior legion or fighting band. Yeah, this entire start is a little it shows that he's not or he might not be as experienced in 2-player, because this is like maybe a start that you would typically see in a 3-player, 4-player game, but in a 2-player game, I already think, yeah, he's not that experienced. I go for the revolution, build a warrior for free, and still haven't drawn an event actually, which is good for me right now because I don't have to keep track of that. But for the game, in a 2-player game, it's a bit sad if you can't seed events early on. For several reasons, you want to have some control over the deck. You want to reveal even the developments on your turn to make your turns better. It's also a huge factor. Like now in this turn, I wouldn't have seeded an event exactly for that reason, not to run into corruption. But generally, you want to have those extra resources, that extra civil action with the development of civil life and so on, to make your turn better. So if the other guy reveals them on his turn, he always has a better turn than you earlier, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, Dantes goes for the alchemy, upgrades an alchemy with an growth and increased population. Did not seed, and this is okay, I think. Could also arguably consider this masonry. Has a lot of value and delay upgrading this, so he takes masonry and alchemy and builds a philosophy. If that fixes corruption, didn't, right? Then you would have, yeah, doesn't really work out, I guess. Playing the masonry here, taking the masonry. And then it would be skipping alchemy, which is possible, but maybe not that desirable. So it's very close. Very close call, I think. And he indeed does have the medieval army, so he goes to 6 strength. And I have to be a bit wary of strength events, possible strength events. Yeah, no event on my hand as discussed. Here I do go for Chishka. I think it's very good here to get Chishka. I have to build another warrior. Or at least I can't choose the resource for something else. So especially with Chishka lying around, I actually don't mind that much. I can go for him, elect him, build this warrior for free, and now I produce 3 culture per turn with this leader. And I'm actually stronger. So that is already 4 culture income in a 2-player game very early on. I'm kind of safe from any military pushes for a long time right now. And I will only need to watch out that I can get another population out until those yellow cubes are gone, but it should always be possible with an irrigation or the reserves there. Yeah. Last civil actions are going for the iron. Develop iron, upgrade an iron. I draw knowledge of the ancients, and I will very likely be willing to seed this. Didn't have excessive science and civil actions, so the masonry was not really an option. Dantes takes the irrigation here, finishes the Stonehenge. Okay. At some point he has to do that. It's the reason why I don't like the Stonehenge so much. It takes 4 civil actions, and it sometimes you run into Dark Ages, and yeah, it can be good, but I think I've said it too many times already if you watch my channel, but I think it's only really good if you get the Code of Laws or Monarchy early on with the Wonder, and in all other cases you kind of don't want to spend those civil actions for this science. At least it's my impression. I do see the knowledge of the ancients and development of markets is revealed. I do take the food, so I get this extra population out and have no problems in that regard. Don't have to awkwardly take reserves and play that for food. I can upgrade iron 2 times. I can still play this cultural heritage and take the science wonder. Universitas of Carolina. Is it Universitas Carolina? It doesn't even say off. In my head, it was off. Universitas Carolina. Yeah. Playing that cultural heritage, even overpopulating, I can populate next turn. There's no danger of rats unless he seeds and I choose to seed, which I then very likely will not. Or, yeah, it also depends on whether he populates or not. Yes, I think the 4 culture in 1 science is a good deal. It's better than taking this reserves or, yes, populating now. And the swordsman I don't really want to touch, honestly. I draw 3 events now, and then it will be interesting whether I want to maybe put the Dark Ages in there, since he wants to accumulate some science for H2 tech, government tech. So I think the Dark Ages are actually a good option here. Let's see. 4 Dark Ages developed territory. Dantes is a bit unlucky here because I didn't pay too much attention which leader options he had. Maybe Eleanor was an option at some point. And shout out to the guys who are not as experienced in 2-player. Eleanor, especially with Suez Canal, is an almost S-tier leader. You just have to adapt to the fact that you can just seed and eat some strength event. You can lose some strength events in a 2-player game. Not in every situation, but in a lot of situations where you are economically well set, you can lose some strength events and just control the deck with Eleanor. So it's so insane, actually. You will definitely draw an H2 territory with Eleanor. You will have an extremely good transition turn when you get the extra civil actions. And she produces a lot of culture. So Eleanor is extremely strong. And if Suez Canal is in there S tier, and if the Suez Canal is not in there, she's still a very good option in a lot of turns. So I actually didn't really pay too much attention on that. I didn't even, maybe he didn't have the option, just in general. If you're not that familiar, try it. And then just seed events. Almost no matter what, more or less. Try it out, it feels very good. She's a very good leader in 2-player. Let's return here. Dantes does go for the farms. Takes a breakthrough. I do seed the Dark Ages. Development of Warfare is revealed. I can't build the warrior for free. I think he can. So it's a good last development for him. I do increase my population as I have to and take this Code of Laws for 2. Yeah, once more, I didn't pay too much attention. He went for this and it all looked good, and I'm not certain if he had the option to take this. Was it on 2 civil actions? No, probably not. He did take some cards, right? Takes breakthrough. Depends where he took that from. If it was here. Because this Code of Laws should be worth 2 civil actions for him in that situation. 3, I'm actually not that certain. Probably not. Yeah. Code of Laws is just so important. And so good for me also. I can avoid the Dark Ages, the possible Dark Ages there, and have my 6th civil action. It looks really, really good here, this situation. Can almost finish the Carolina, can finish it next turn. Dantes does seed and reveals the knowledge of the ancients. It gives me an extra rock. Takes the iron, develops it, upgrades it, builds a knight, goes to 11 strength. So I'm very curious if we find a territory here or any strength events possibly. Which, yeah, I discussed should be in there to make some choices legitimate. I see it and reveal the Dark Ages, so no information gained. I only lose 1 science, he loses 3 science. Could have even turned out to be worse for him, I think. If we wait now 1 or 2 turns. Then again, could also be worse for me, since I'm now very inclined to finish this Universitas and also will have some science lying around. So I probably pretty good timing. It already delays a possible government for him quite a lot. And here the thing happens that has to happen. I get access to Bach. I am well prepared for it. Civil action wise, I can just take him for 3 and still have a good turn. I don't know if I immediately elect him, since this guy also just gives me 3 culture per turn. So what is the choice? I do go for Bach, do go for the drama, build the drama, finish the wonder. Yeah. Skip irrigation like this. There is an ocean liner. There is a Suez Canal. So even drawing a colony can fix a lot of things. And yes, this late irrigation with that much from the yellow bank gone, it doesn't do that much. So I don't think it's bad to still take it, but I do agree with this turn is just better than taking this irrigation. And yeah, on top of that, he has 2 irrigations, so he's very inclined to go for this selective breeding. He doesn't have a lot of civil actions, so I think it would be actually a very bad, ill-advised for him to spend a lot of civil actions to deny a cellbred for me. Especially with the Ocean Liner in the game, but I think it's in general not such a good thing to do in a 2-player game. I often tried it to block my opponent on foot, and in hindsight, it didn't really work. It's something I would not advise in a lot of scenarios, unless it doesn't cost you anything, obviously, or not too much. Then, yeah, then it should be good. But don't make it a high priority to deny the opponent food tax. I don't think it works in a lot of cases. I can't even really explain why, but somehow it just doesn't. I draw Ravages of Time, Historic Territory, and Popularization of Science. Now the Ravages of Time I don't like with this theocracy setup and pyramids. I'm not inclined to seed that. And Historic Territory might be possible, but also a bit swingy. I do have these defense cards, but he has a cartography. And it's a bit... I think it's, in this state, a bit risky to seed it. Since I'm in a way better situation than Dantes, I'm ahead, and then this is an unnecessary risk. Even if it would be a good bet, and it's pretty likely that I win it, which it's a little unclear. I think it is. There is a good chance, since I have more MA and I have these defense cards, and I have a good tech to contest a colony with, territory with. Even if it is a good expected value, I think it's a bad thing to do if you are that much ahead, or if your evaluation of the situation is that you are that much ahead. It's another thing if that's really true. But here I'm very confident. Dantes does not seed, takes Da Vinci, upgrades Iron, takes the Rev Idea, does not take the Republic for 3. And now it's an interesting question whether I want to deny it or not. But I think I do agree with this turn that he probably can't spend his entire turn on corruption and Republic Revideer. Maybe he has to, but maybe I actually have better things to do than denying that, so I'm not certain. I actually don't remember if I take it. There's also a Sabret. Probably I won't take it. There's the Historic Territory 1, and I can't really bid on that. I'm not willing to bid a pair. I can't repopulate, crucially. And considering that there might be a better territory, like vast territory in there, I want to be able to bid on that. So I don't even bid the warrior here. I think, I wasn't willing to bid highly on this territory. I do go for Sabret Cannon. There's a lot of important cards here, so I'm actually not taking the Republic. Also, maybe a bit one reason for that might be that I'm culturally that well. My cultural situation, income situation is so good now that I'm kind of only afraid of aggressive play, or I'm a lot more afraid of an aggressive play by Dantes. And the Republic, he doesn't have extremely good science income, and if he goes for the Republic now, it's not that easy for him to apply pressure. Then he already has to take Napoleon with it, probably. He has to hope to get the strategy, which is maybe a 50-50 and maybe even a bit better than 50-50 if he takes a lot of cards with the Republic. For me, odds are a little better, depending on how many cards I take. Yeah, so I'm somehow not that afraid. And given the fact that I have this good of a turn, I decide not to deny the Republic. But honestly, I'm actually not 100% certain if that's the best turn, because denying this Republic from a guy who's on 4 civil actions and 4 civil actions is really miserable compared to 7 civil actions. I've already done this decision not to deny it and thought it's the better turn not to do it, and then regretted it also. So I think I have good reasons for this, and I do think it's the better turn, but it's not this obvious, at least. I draw Inhabited Territory in Cold War and the Tactic. Now we can play the game of finding out. This is the defensive army, which is pretty good with the cannons and 4 warriors standing around here. If I get access to riflemen, I can build a lot of strength with this setup. But even if I don't, it's a nice phalanx to have. Dantes seats, and indeed there was only the historic territory, no strength event, and then it was quite the heavy investment into this cartography, and now it's interesting to see if he found maybe another colony to give this some more value. Pestilence is, I think, good for him. He has more food, he has 1 lying around, and now I have to consider what to disband, probably a warrior. And he indeed does go for the Republic and does take Napoleon for the 3rd MA. Yeah, it is a big cost, right? Because even this 15 strength, I'm not really afraid of that with, especially now with the cannon in hand and the defensive army. 3 military actions. it is a bit of a pressure, but it's not, you know, maybe enough to justify all this investment into military. And then even Napoleon becomes a little awkward. Maybe even better to wait for what Theresa, although, yeah, he doesn't have good alternatives here. Honestly, he already has the Republic now, then Robespierre makes no sense. And Watt is not really that good in two-player. He also has Iron and Irrigation. And then there's only really Theresa. So, no, I understand. This Napoleon is then a good choice. If there were better alternatives, I would suggest not to take him. But there are no really better alternatives. So I think this Napoleon is good. The correct choice here. So he builds the warrior, goes to 15 strength, and takes this breakthrough. Does lack some science now, but can probably just build another alchemy next turn. And let's quickly look what... And there's also a Harvard College, possibly. And indeed, I win the strategy 50-50. I think this card's extremely important. I'm even willing to pay 3 civil actions here. Although he doesn't have any science right now, but he will have at some point, and the strategy is just super good for him, and it's also super good for me. It allows me to indeed disband this warrior after he went to 15 strength and just completely nullify his potential military threat by also, yeah, just playing it. Take EG, patriotism, and have to settle for the corruption. I can't do anything realistically to avoid it. Draw even another tactic option, which is maybe a bit redundant with cannon already in hand, and this tactic also requires me to get the rifleman to get it going. So it's redundant. Dantes seeds reveals the call to arms, which is in most cases a bit annoying to lose two civil actions. Can quickly look what cards we draw: Independence Declaration and a Plunder, both of which we don't really want to see it, I guess. Did I actually see it? No, I didn't. So let's see, Inhabited Territory, Iconoclasm, which I really don't want to see it with this Bach versus Napoleon. I mean, in 95% of cases you don't want to. It can be a good option if military is really his only way to threaten you and you just remove it from him and you are already in a winning game state. But in most cases, Napoleon doesn't justify it. Removing him, doesn't justify losing the Bach. Okay, he populates, builds a lab, takes opera, and a lot of civil action for the ocean liner, somewhat indicating that he doesn't have a colony for the Suez Canal. And yeah, I agree with this turn. Also with the ocean liner, probably. Developed territory is revealed, so there is another territory. Did I even see that? Was it mine? Didn't I have that at some point? I don't remember. That's a pretty good win for him. Does have to sin the knight, because I have a lot of colonization cards in hand. And I go for the Sabret here, take the reserves. Especially because I lost the civil actions, I can't really consider Suez. I also am not very certain if that inhabited territory would have justified it. Not really certain. Is it what I seeded actually? The inhabited territory? Probably. Is it? After he took the ocean liner, it might be a bit better for me. Yeah. We will see. Let's be surprised about whether there's an inhabited territory or what were the alternatives. Iconoclasm or... I don't remember. My memory is so bad. Emigration revealed. No one is affected. He builds the ocean liner, uses it, takes efficient upgrade, populates. Now the efficient upgrade, don't really know. He could also just upgrade the iron, I think. He had 3 rocks left. Now he spent 2 civil actions to upgrade next turn. And especially, I think, he could still go for this justice system, which should still give a lot of value with a very good science situation here. I do think that would have been a good call to go for this justice system. I populate, can build my, I don't see it. First of all, populate can build my 3rd theater. I'm at 13 cultural income with the Gigabach. And take breakthrough, play reserves, and take navigation in hand as my last civil action. If he has found some more colonies. Yeah. Not that convinced by the navigation, but there was no other last civil action, so I guess it's okay. For some impacts also. I also have this developed territory in hand and can maybe just then play it. Also some extra strength. But I have very low science. If I had abundant science, I would be happy with this navigation, and like this is like, nah. Not that convinced. Popularization of science, which was seeded by me at some point, is revealed. Gives 1 more culture to Dantes. And going to H3, we can see, yeah, I'm very confident in this, that this is a winning situation for me. It's a bit unclear how he can approach this game. I think there's 2 options actually. And one is to say now military all in, but for that he lacks the military actions. So that would require him to get his hand on an early copy of military theory on H3 government. And then both of them are pretty costly science-wise. He does have 15 plus 4 and a breakthrough, so military theory is somewhat realistic, but the communism is not realistic together with some crucial military attacks. And but the other option is just to go all in trying to leverage his civil actions and win this culturally. And it's not impossible. It's only a difference of roughly 50 culture, and especially in second position you have a lot of control over the final impacts, so you can win all those 10 culture impacts like science, culture, strength a lot more likely than the other player just by seeding it last turn and winning it on last turn. And I think it's a gap that is closable. So he does go for architecture here. Did he pay 3 civil actions for it? Yeah, but I kind of do agree. That's a very crucial tech here. I don't have architecture. And it's also not the masonry, so I don't have a tech in that regard. And now he can start building operas very efficiently, and that's what he does. And I think that is the better approach to this game, to try to win this culturally, actually. And I do think it's feasible, even if it doesn't look like this at first glance. I think it is possible. Let's look at the H3 wonders quickly. There's Kubater. He might go for a good internet with pro sports possibly. There is possibly a big Hollywood with Gates, and he starts building operas. Not Gates, Chaplin. And he already starts building operas. So there are big wonders. And yeah, he does have a lot of civil actions and abundant population, and I do think it's winnable actually. I will have to play, I will have to take care. I do think I'm ahead, but I will have to take care not to play too sloppy in H3, because you can lose such games. I do go for the navigation, interestingly. I think I also have hand space problems. I didn't want to commit for this cannon. Doesn't mean, probably means I did seed the inhabited at some point, I would assume. Increase population, build the warrior, take rifleman. Pretty important with this defensive army and those 4 warriors lying around here. And the frugality. I can, again, not solve my corruption issues. That adds up if you have multiple turns where you can't solve corruption. And then, yeah, then it adds up. And here we see also what I maybe said in the beginning, that I thought it is a somewhat better opera game. I built those drama and it was correct. Timing wise, I do agree with what I did, but I would a lot prefer this to be 3 operas or 2 operas and now building a 3rd opera and not having corruption all the time. And these dramas, I am at 13 culture income, but the 16 culture income is better. They lose some momentum in H3, even with the Bach. Freedom of movement revealed, which I can't realistically make use of. He does put an alchemy to the opera, and then he does, I think, a mistake here, taking this red cross. Let's quickly see his last civil actions. Cannons, because he needs attacks. Tanks, because he needs attacks. Might consider just taking cavalrymen, honestly, because they are more cost efficient and it's more about the tactic. You don't have, he doesn't have excessive rocks to justify tanks, and he doesn't want to make the game faster. So I would say this is objectively wrong here, those tanks over cavalrymen. He wants a longer game now. And yeah, all those civil actions for the Red Cross, and I'm not really in the best situation, I think, to take this Red Cross. Now, if he took the reserves on top, I would be happier with this decision. But he couldn't realistically without missing out on cannon and cavalryman, which is very greedy. Saying, okay, I will just not build any military units ever. Yeah, but if he had extra food, then he could at least build 4 stages, and I can build only 1 stage. Like this, he can only build 3 stages, I can build 2 stages. And he has spent 5 extra civil actions for a difference of 6 plus the amount of territories culture. And that's not worth it at all. And I think I wouldn't take it for the exact same reason. I'm on giga corruption, I need population. And I don't think I would spend 4 of my 6 civil actions to take this ocean liner. Okay, if it would be 3, then I would maybe consider it if it's here. But then again, we already discussed those tanks are wrong. It should be cavalryman. So yeah, cavalryman cannon, put the Red Cross here, and then you can just take it next turn. And it, with the reserves now, and then yeah, okay, that would also again put it here. But I honestly think even if it's on 3, I would probably not do it. I would probably not do it. Especially if he takes his reserves away. Then I also only have 9 food in 2 turns. I would have to spend it all. I cannot populate. I wouldn't do it. Yeah, I get his intention. He thinks, okay, I'm behind in culture, so I have to catch up in culture. But that's just not the correct way here. It's not efficient enough. Inhabited territory, indeed, I win it. Thanks to the navigation, I only have to spend 1 warrior and 1 card. And with having won that territory, I maybe would have considered it more to take this. And it still would, I think, not be very clear whether that would have been a good play for me. Okay, I go for the rifleman here, populate a bunch. And yeah, I did build one of the stages. Take the reserve, the rev idea. Don't really have enough science for the civil service, sadly. So I do have to take the rev idea reserves. It's pretty efficient, obviously, to take these cards. But I have corruption again, which starts to annoy me a lot. I hate corruption, and it's this oh no, I can fix it. Thank God. I have to spend all my draws, but I have already drawn a hybrid war, so I have actually good military potential here with the cannons and defensive army. So that is something he has to look out for. Dantes seeds, and indeed there was something in there that gave him the option to build more than 3 stages. Winning this vast territory would mean you can build 4 stages, but luckily I am able to win it even for just 1 warrior. I was willing to bid more. A rifleman, maybe rifleman warrior even. So you can't finish the wonder. He does build a 3rd opera, it's also at 10 culture income now. Takes patriotism, military build up, which makes him somewhat safe from aggressive potential. Efficient upgrade pro sports, there's a Kubater coming, which is a good option for him. He wants to get rid of this Napoleon who does nothing more or less and play a real leader. Populates a bunch and develops pro sport. And there's even another option, which would have enabled, so a bit unlucky for him that this prosperity wasn't revealed, was the last card. Which means, yeah, I get this extra, to build this extra step, which I do. And yeah, that's a big culture swing. That's unlucky for him. With all this information in mind, I still think it wasn't correct to take this wonder, honestly. But then it's a lot closer than I made it ought to be, probably. I set up, yeah, I had, I think 2 options here. Go for multimedia or go for this aggressive play, and the problem is with multimedia, I can't really afford multimedia and engineering. And then this multimedia is super expensive. I'm not sure if I could next turn, but I don't think so. It's just 10. Yeah, it wouldn't be enough even if I didn't go for the cannons and build 1 multimedia. Then if I didn't miscalculate now, I would still lack science for both. And yeah, it's just more efficient, I think, to go for this defensive army with the hybrid war in hand and all those aggressions, which I'm not too happy to see, to be honest. But maybe I can put them to use in this game. But I would still prefer to just see impacts. I think I haven't seen a single impact yet. Is that true? It's always pretty bad, to be honest. Yeah, this somehow doesn't work, because I also don't see those. I think I didn't see one. Economic progress is revealed. And Dantes goes for Kubater. Plays a military build-up, builds 2 cannons, makes use of the extra military action from Napoleon and does swap to Kubater, builds pro sport, builds another pro sport, and now he's at 14 culture income. And yeah, this gap that was there at the start of H3, it increased by a bit, but now it's at 94, 132, it's roughly 40 culture. Yeah, and that's doable actually. With the correct impacts, I haven't seen any impacts yet. And he has seeded 3 already. So if he really high rolled on those impacts, he's already very close. Yeah, I have the habit, and maybe it's actually not the best habit, but let's reveal the habit first before discussing it, to just evaluate those impacts that I don't know as 10 culture for the opponent. That's more or less the worst case, right? It can vary, but as a rule of thumb, I say, okay, he can have 10 culture there. What do I have to do? And from that, I evaluate. Yeah, that's how I evaluate the value and try to adjust to the game state. And it's not always the best habit because 10 culture is overstated. I think the more accurate average value is maybe something like 5 or so. So sometimes you value it wrong by overvaluing it, and then you make awkward decisions. I actually lost a game like this in the Royal League season because on the last turn I completely overvalued the impacts that he had and thought I lost anyway, made a bad turn, and then it was actually winnable if I do the correct turn, which was a little annoying, but these things happen. But the benefit of doing that is that it's kind of complicated to explain right now. I don't find the right words. Let's move on. That's how I evaluate it. And yeah, with this evaluation, he's very close. And I think, yeah, there's some games you don't lose if you do it like this, and you play very careful around that. Just looking out at the maximum, more or less, of them. In a lot of game states, you can afford that. So here, second to last turn, I didn't go forward. I took the Hollywood still, which is maybe a little interesting. It won't be that good for me, but I have the EG still with the reserves, enough rocks, and I think it's the last one that's decent for me. Like right now, it's 3 times. Right now with Bach, it would be 16 culture. Without Bach, it's still 12 culture. It's not that impressive, but there's Chaplin, I think. With Chaplin, it would still be 6, 8, 16 culture also. One of those numbers was wrong, but 4, 6, 8, 16. With Bach, it's even more, right? Yeah, with Bach it would be 18, yes. I'm so horribly slow calculating when I'm doing these recordings because I don't know, my brain is not in the right mode for the calculating. If I am playing calmly, sitting there calculating, I'm not that illiterate with numbers. I actually studied maths and physics, so maybe that comes to as a surprise for some of you guys, but I can calculate. I can't do it while recording. It's just somehow my brain doesn't work in this mode. Yeah. So yeah, maybe this turn is a bit, I don't know. Hollywood's not really that great for him. The internet's a lot better with the Kubota. I don't think I have to spend those civil actions. I can just take reserves over the Hollywood. I don't agree. I think this is a very sloppy turn, to be honest, to take this Hollywood for 4 civil actions. And I kind of remember that we played it somewhat fast this game. That I was a bit overconfident in my situation and just made a turn Oh, Hollywood looks fine. Let's do it. I think I have to take reserves here. Maybe the EG even. This Hollywood, expensive Hollywood, looks a bit wrong. I do this at least. I set up a possible war for next turn. And finally see an impact, the impact of variety. Maybe I've also just missed one in the commentary. But I don't think so, no. Dantes builds another pro spot, takes reserves, takes EG. Yeah, he doesn't have, that's a problem in, a big problem in this situation. He doesn't have enough science for the military theory, sadly. I think I do agree with him with a lot of things he did in HP. Actually, maybe except the Ocean Liner, the way he played with the operas and pro sports, and now at 16 culture income, I totally agree. He did draw a good tactic, honestly, and can fulfill it again just by building 2 warriors, and then he has a 3rd army with a patriotism, so he can somewhat defend the war, but maybe not enough. Yeah, let's see. The thing with the war is I wasn't even that certain if it's that good, but I went for it because I am affected by those happy faces and I have to disband something now. I mean, only one philosophy, so it's maybe okay. But he just isn't affected by the happy faces. And the way I saw it, I will win this war no matter what. So it should be the correct choice. Dantes plays the Olympic. Oh no, yeah, that was there were Olympic Games last turn, so that was an extra consideration. I just lost the 8 culture already. It was a good timing for him to declare the Olympic Games. So a little less value. And he does go to 41, so it's not such a big war. It's only 13, so 26 minus 8, it's 18 culture. Okay, it was definitely my best turn to declare this. I also could have considered to just go for aggressions instead. But I think the war is correct. And now I still play the armed intervention. He only has 2 MAs, so he cannot even defend. That was safe. And these impacts aren't good for me. Finished the Hollywood for 12 culture. I don't know. I didn't have the civil actions, I think, since I was affected by those happy faces. Or maybe it was, again, very sloppy. But I completely missed the chaplain. Let's actually go back one step. I want to see, could I have gone for this chaplain? That's too far. This scale just doesn't work. 2 civil actions and happy faces. Was I that sloppy? Populate. I do want to play the Aegis still. But I think I don't need to populate that much. Maybe even not disband. I think I can just play Chaplain. It's really hard also for my brain to say this definitively without trying it. My intuition says I can just go for this Chaplain. And that was super sloppy. We played this game almost like a blitz game. And that's my excuse. I think I was on the way home from work. So yeah, actually that's very bad not to elect this chaplain here. So we already saw this. We built the Hollywood for 12 culture, build a religion, develop satellites for possible impacts. And now we see Dantes builds a big internet for 30 culture, 31. And after his turn, he's at 161 culture. And I'm at 191, and he has 3 impacts in. So there is a world where he can win this. I think he wins impact of culture, he wins impact of science, he wins, doesn't win impact of strength, but maybe there's like a population, harmony. These kind of things are always very valuable when you have the ocean liner. Harmonies wouldn't be enough, but population maybe. I also have a lot of population. Maybe there's no 3 impacts you can win with, but it's closer than it should be, I think, the way we started into H3. And I think, yeah, it's just the sum of small things. Let's look at the final impacts. And it's happiness, that's 6 for him. Technology is equal, and then there's balance is 4 for him. That's not enough. With the best impacts, I think it's also not enough. It's too hard to tell for me what population would actually be, but it doesn't look like 10 culture, and I don't want to start counting now. But yeah, with culture, science, and maybe there's a third one I'm missing. Yeah, I guess population would be the best. It is very close. So, in my commentary, I did a little more emphasis on his mistakes than usual, and I didn't mean this to be condescending, but I did this because he specifically asked me where it went wrong, because he himself said he's not such a 2-player expert, it's his weakest game. So yeah, just to also announce that I didn't mean to condescend him in any way. Obviously, I meant this as advice. I mean, I always do. Also, when I evaluate plays of other people, I also call out my bad plays equally as other people's plays. And yeah, with that, I think it was an interesting showcase of something. And that is that Bach is not auto GG. Even in such a game where only an H2 player, one culture leader in H2. And it is a huge advantage, but it is not automatically GG. Discard into operas, into those pro sports, and then if maybe 1 or 2 other decisions, maybe some other things go his way, and he does indeed find better impacts, the nut impacts, then it's winnable. I did some small mistakes too. It was a quick and dirty game after all, for both of us. And yeah, with that, I'm in the next stage. It should be a 3-player game. We can actually look quickly at who is still in the tournament, and we see that there's Gross, Yanteri, Magnetizer, Martin Pischer, Momo Million, Restless Me, Spartan, Swin, and Zedek. So it's a very prestigely yeah, I'm missing the English word now. Yeah, there's a lot of good players here. It's what I wanted to say in a different way, but I lacked the vocabulary for that. And we already see Gross won against Magnetizer, so he's one of the possible opponents. And other than that, only my game finished. Only our game finished. Oh no, there's another result here, which just came in. And we see Jan Terry winning against Swin, which is impressive. Swin is, if you remember, the 3rd ranked player in the world, and he has a whopping, what is it? Where is my... Yes, 76% win rate, which is insane. Yeah. So, impressive win by Jan Terry, who I honestly don't know yet, but he has to be a strong player. if this happens. Okay, next game will be a 3-player game with 6 people left after this. And then, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next stage. Thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next one.